A door is one of the oldest technologies still in daily use. Long before modern buildings, people needed ways to close spaces, to keep animals out, warmth in, and privacy intact. Early doors were heavy slabs of wood or stone, hinged crudely or pivoted on pegs. Opening them required strength, intention, and time. The act of entering a space was never casual. At first, there was no handle. Doors were pushed, pulled, or lifted directly by their edges. Some used ropes threaded through holes. Others relied on wooden bars dropped into brackets. These solutions worked, but they assumed familiarity. You had to know where to grip, how much force to apply, and which motion released the barrier. A door was not neutral. It was an object that asked you to solve it. As settlements grew and architecture became more complex, doors multiplied. Homes, workshops, storehouses, temples, each added points of transition. With that came a subtle but growing problem. Doors were slowing people down. They interrupted flow. They demanded attention at moments when attention was already occupied. The earliest latches attempted to simplify this. A wooden bar connected to a string allowed someone to lift the bar from one side of the door. But it still required knowledge. You had to know the string was there. You had to pull it just enough. It was better, but not intuitive. Metalworking changed everything. With stronger, smaller components, mechanisms could be hidden inside the door. This allowed the exterior interaction to be simplified. Instead of manipulating the lock directly, you could manipulate a single interface that did the work for you. That interface became the handle. The first handles were not standardized. Some were rings. Some were protruding bars. Some were ornate knockers adapted for pulling. But over time, certain shapes proved more successful, not because they looked better, but because they aligned with how human bodies naturally move. The human wrist rotates easily in one plane. The human arm applies downward force more comfortably than twisting force. A lever exploits both facts. By pushing down, you rotate an internal spindle that retracts the latch. The longer the lever, the less force required. This is basic physics, but its impact on daily life is profound. A round knob, by contrast, requires grip strength and rotational control. For many years, knobs dominated domestic spaces because they were compact and easy to manufacture. But they had limitations. Wet hands slip, weak hands struggle, full hands fail entirely. As buildings became more public and more accessible, these failures became unacceptable. Design constraints pushed the handle toward its modern form. It had to work the same way every time. It had to function without visual attention. It had to be operable by children, elders, and people carrying objects. It had to survive thousands of uses per year without adjustment. It had to resist being accidentally opened while still opening instantly when intended. Inside the door, the mechanism became a choreography of trade-offs. Springs needed to be strong enough to return the latch, but weak enough not to fight the user. The latch needed to resist vibration and pressure from the other side. The handle needed to transmit motion without wobble, noise, or delay. Every added millimeter of tolerance introduced failure. Every removed millimeter increased friction. But mechanics alone did not decide the handle's form. Human behavior did. People approach doors differently depending on context. In a hospital, doors must open silently and easily. In a school, they must endure abuse. In an emergency exit, they must yield instantly under panic-level force. These behaviors shape the flat push bar, the panic bar, the lever handle, and the pull plate, not as stylistic choices, but as behavioral predictions embedded in metal. The handle also became a communicator. Without words, it tells you how to use the door. A vertical pull suggests approach and grasp. A horizontal bar suggests pressure. A recessed handle suggests sliding. When this communication fails, frustration follows. The infamous moment of pushing a pull door is not a personal error. It's a design failure where expectation and reality diverge. Over time, the best designs disappeared from awareness. You don't think about a good door handle. You think about what's on the other side of the door. That invisibility is not accidental. It is the goal. Even materials reflect this philosophy. Stainless steel resists corrosion and fingerprints. Brass kills bacteria. Textured finishes improve grip without calling attention to themselves. The handle becomes a quiet mediator between human intention and architectural structure. The most revealing insight is not that door handles evolved, it's that they evolved to vanish. Their success is measured by how completely they remove themselves from thought. When a handle works, the door ceases to be an object and becomes a moment of passage. That is the paradox of invisible design. The more perfectly something fits human behavior, the less we notice it at all. And every time a door opens without effort, you are witnessing centuries of human trial condensed into a single silent motion.